No one needs to say why this place is special. It just is. Built brick by brick back in 1909, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is an icon of international motorsports facilities. 4 distinct corners, all with stories to tell. Many of those stories are written in bronze, but some are still being written. Like tonight, it's a story of the Area Cup Series, 85 laps at the Brickyard. It may be the last race of the season where you control your own destiny, with Talladega and the playoffs looming just a week from now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Sim TV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna and Hunter Sleppy for our 11th race of the season, and there is just one race until cutoff time at Talladega. Finian, it is go time if you're not locked into the playoffs now.
I was going to say, it's so hard to believe it's that time of year already. We're about to start eliminating drivers from this championship, and it is starting to tighten up. However, there's been really mainly 2 names that have been dominating this season so far, James Scully and Jake Nichols, who's finally been able to score some hard-earned wins there. Ricky Springer, Travis Beckner, Connor Horn, and Seth Noel, all with 1 win apiece, and you can see everyone else chasing them behind in the points, either trying to get a win or just trying to get themselves above that cut line.
The last 4 races, it's either been Jake Nichols or James Scioli winning these races, and that's why you see them at the top of your point standings. Springer, Beckner, Horn, and Knoll all have won before reaching this point of the season. The penultimate round before the final regular season race at Talladega. Still waiting on that first win from Ryan Artz. He's plus 93 on the cutoff. And you got Kern Poole, Cedric Hunter, Doug Newbegin, and Connor Okresic with a 16-point cushion to Greg Mitchell.
Well, you're getting views of the road course in the background, but it's been a little while. It's been a long time, actually, since we've been on the oval here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, at least with stock cars. And tonight, for 85 laps, we will race on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway oval. This is a huge challenge for the stock cars, especially with these new next-gen cars. You're going to be rowing through gears here, Finian. Tonight is something that we've never seen on Sim TV, these new generation cars around this very old generation circuit.
Yeah, this will be very interesting to see, especially around also, I don't think we've seen Cup cars on the newer version of Indianapolis as well. So a whole lot of new things to experience here and seeing how these cars race and how this new surface works with stock car racing in general. As you look at the yard of bricks and everyone flying by here as practice is coming to a close. Jake Nichols at the top of the timesheets with David Weishart in second place, not too far behind. And it's going to be interesting to see because David Weishart, of course, stepping down from full-time competition in the Cup Series, but doing very well here in at least practice for the Cup race. Might have a chance to win.
That's his home track. The Indiana native wants to put on a show for his folks back at home. And he's running second, and just like his favorite Cup driver, Kevin Harvick, for stepping down from full-time competition. Well, trying to at least, because he's still got the will to race in area. Just not as much in the Cup cars, doesn't have too much fun in those now. Really likes the truck, but wants to get a win tonight at his home track in the Cup Series.
This racetrack is so fast, it is unforgiving. The path that you run here is so incredibly narrow. The slightest mistake in what is really a very single groove racetrack, Finian, that will lead you straight into that safer barrier in the outside wall. But the straightaways, when you get onto them in these stock cars, it is playtime. You've got all this width to use, slipstreaming, drafting, but the big challenge, I don't know if anyone really knows how this racing is going to look tonight. We've run high downforce here, we've run low downforce here, but never with this new car. So much unknown that we'll have to figure out in such a critical phase of this championship.
Yeah, between the updates to the cars themselves over time with iRacing and just the changes we've seen with the package, it could very much be 2 different things. You can either be more like a pack race, or these guys can actually get more spread out and be able to build up runs. So it's really, like you said, until we get to race time, these drivers are not going to have a whole lot of idea how this is going to work out here. But before we get to the race, we got qualifying coming up here.
Critical phase of the night, I'd say, with a nearly 30-car field. Passing will likely come at a premium as well. So getting your starting position is going to be very important tonight. And as cars roll onto the racetrack, race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use the new Area iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise at shop.areairacing.com. That's twitch.tv/Area iRacing. So Ricky Springer's one of the drivers on track right now, and Ricky Springer will join us from his virtual cockpit here tonight. There he is behind the wheel, and See him a little bit sideways there, Finian, but working up to speed and up to pace.
That's one thing I've noticed is that these cars are pretty free, particularly out of turns 2 and 4, when these guys are really getting back on the power. So obviously for qualifying, shouldn't be too much of an issue unless they get a little bit too aggressive with the exit of the corners. But in the race, that might be something to keep an eye on as he goes flying off into turn 1.
Got a race strategist in the background as well, making sure he's keeping all 4 tires where they need to be on the racetrack. And it's very easy to mess up one of these corners because if you recall back to Pocono, turn 2 is shaped after like these turns from Indianapolis, and we knew how much of a problem turn 2 was for the Cup Series at Pocono, so you don't want to mess up here on any of these corners because they're all banked the same and they all turn the same.
Michael Curran joins us again with another message on his wall tonight, and his teammates are better than Dean Thompson's ARCA teammates. Hashtag we will stand with Dean. If anyone watched the ARCA race from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, you probably know what that's in reference to. I have to give my Trading Paints a refresh as well before we get the night started. But Ricky Springer across the stripe to the top of the board at a 52.837. Here comes Ryan Hartz across the line. And 52.835, so pips Springer by 0.02 of a second. And for now, that's good enough for provisional pole, but only 2 drivers on the scoring. Now David Weishart goes to the top, Finian.
Yeah, the big thing too to remember that these guys only have 1 single lap at qualifying, so if you make a mistake, you're going to be starting from the back, and like we mentioned earlier, if you're going to be starting from the back, it might be a long night for you because the passing is not going to be easy, particularly easy here tonight.
And Jake Nichols is working his way onto the racetrack as well, and Hunter Jake has won so far this season, but maybe not as much as he would like as opposed to seasons past. As he looks to the playoffs, which will start in just 2 weeks, is there anything for him to be concerned about? He's run so consistently, but he hasn't gotten the huge number of wins that are going to separate the best from the rest when we start the playoffs here in a couple of weeks. So any cause for concern, or is he just on autopilot right now?
I don't think there's any cause for concern. I mean, a little bit on that he doesn't have as many wins, so not as many bonus points, but he's going to, unless something catastrophic happens tonight and at Talladega, he most certainly has locked up the regular season championship, which is an extra 15 bonus points heading into the postseason. But all those wins that he didn't get this season could be a problem if something similar happens to him, like we saw last season at Auto Club, where he was going for the win, had to move to the inside. He ended up wrecking, finishing back in 19th, and if he didn't have that cushion, that could have put him out of the championship contention a season ago. So unless something like that happens, then I don't think there's a cause for concern for the 73.
Here's Travis Beckner working his way on his qualifying lap. He has 1 win this season. It came back at Michigan, Finian.
I was going to say, I just watched Jeremy Miller trying to attempt a lap. And first of all, he's on a Ford. Second of all, I think he needs to be airlifted to a hospital because he went flying into the wall very hard.
Let's go back and see if we can find that moment. Here it is.
Tap the wall off the corner. Okay, I was wondering why he did this.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll get you. So he will be back on pit lane with no lap completed. Here's Beckner at a 53.271. And not the quickest lap we've seen so far. It'll put him 9th. Cedric Hunter was really impressive the last couple times out. And as far as his championship is concerned, I think he's a little ways out of it.
He's good on points.
Oh, he is good.
I mean, yeah, he seems to be pretty good. He's plus 50 to the cut line on points, sitting in 10th.
Oh,
so
he's so
as long as he gets
up.
some, as long as he can get decent finishes, should be good. But like you mentioned, he's been good in qualifying. Will he continue that trend, that recent trend, across the line for him in 12th? So be more towards the tail end of the guys that have qualified. Speaking of which, not a whole lot of drivers out there yet.
Oh, Seth
more
Knoll.
getting on the track.
Seth Knoll got into the wall there.
Yeah, he's slowing down, so he's going to be, unfortunately, starting from the back.
Yep, and wanted to touch upon Cedric Hunter. He only has 4 top 10s, but is 8th in the point standings because his worst finish this season has been 21st. So consistency matters whenever it comes to making the postseason and then having a strong run for the championship.
And 21st might not sound like a crazy good worst finish, but let me tell you, most people have had a finish worse than that. And that's the game of averages, right? If you can have a better bad day than the next guy, then you're going to be in a good spot when it comes playoff time. And pointing your way in, we saw Michael Curhan do that last season and got himself a win at a very critical stage of the championship and went into the final round competing for that championship. Here comes Sturgill across the stripe in the number 17, and that's a 53.251. It will put him in 11th place.
Yeah, Sturgill could probably use a little bit more consistency. Only 2 top 10s to his name this season. A lot of finishes outside that margin. And as far as the points are concerned, is sitting 2 places out, 17 behind the cut line. So needs to start stepping it up here in these next few rounds. And there's Connor Horn. We were just wondering where he was, getting in very late, but we'll have enough time to get a lap in. We'll see what lap that'll be.
Will be interesting for the 609 Motorsports driver. Got that win back real early in the season at Dover, along with 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. He's had a couple of bad finishes as of late, and oddly enough, his last 4 races have been in streaks. So he got 4th at Darlington and Pocono, but as coming off back-to-back 27th place finishes at Atlanta and Road America. So wherever he finishes this week, he'll finish next week at Talladega if all trends go the right direction.
Well, on lap number 2, no time recorded for Connor Horn. Here's Douglas Newbegin in a similar looking, very patriotic number 71, red, white, and blue. And he's the only one on an active qualifying lap right now. There's about a half dozen drivers.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, that was a big moment out of turn 2. There's about a half dozen drivers that have not yet started a qualifying run.
Yeah, it looks like Seth Knoll, Jimmy Miller, Connor Horner have all hit the wall, so they'll be starting from the back. Douglas Newbegin almost joined that list because we saw him get sideways off at turn 2. He's got to watch off turn 4 because it's just as unforgiving.
Yeah, and if you don't get off the turns properly, like turn 2 and turn 4, you're going to get really bad speed down the straightaway, and the cars behind you, they're just going to use the draft and get alongside you and make a move going into either turn 1 or turn 3.
Across the stripe for Douglas Newbegin, a 53.386. A barn burner puts him 14th quick. And with that, we are basically out of time for a driver to complete. Yeah, no one else is going to be able to complete their lap because the out lap will take you over a minute plus 50 seconds of time to actually complete your lap, 53 seconds plus. So qualifying is effectively complete. That will put David Weishart and Ryan Hartz on the pole, the front row at least. Ricky Springer, Jake Nichols in that second row, Finian. So really strong effort for the hometown driver, David Weishart.
Yeah, I was going to say very, very strong showing for him. And like I said, he could be a potential winner here, and especially with that pace. He set pole by over a tenth of a second. Everyone else, they're separated by hundreds and thousands. So very big margin to pole for the 33. Thing is, can he keep that pace up? Not only in the race, but also over a long green flag run. That'll be the key. Or will Ryan Hartz, Ricky Springer, Jake Nichols be able to chase him down?
Very good question, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I already have my pick locked in on Weishart, considering he is hometown favorite, home track favorite. So you want to win at your home track. But going off his Cup results, his best finish of the season before Road America was 24th at both Pocono and Watkins Glen. And then at Road America, he got his best finish of the season in 8th place. And that came after wrecking on lap 1, facing the wrong direction, and basically going from last all the way up inside the top 10. So he's got some momentum heading into this race.
We're going to step away for opening ceremonies for this 85-lap race from Indianapolis. Almost time to go racing here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 85 laps about to kick off here in just a moment's time. And in just a moment, we'll bring you the Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code AREAIRACING for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. So Finian kicking things off here on the Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Row number 1 is going to be David Weishart, the hometown hero from Indiana, the number 33. He'll start his Chevrolet Camaro alongside Ryan Hartz in the number 3 in second.
And moving on back into row number 2 is going to be a pretty stacked second row. Ricky Springer starting on third in the 51 machine. Next to him, 73, Jake Nichols in 4th.
And in row 3, it's going to be Greg Mitchell in the number 2. He's driving his Ford Mustang alongside Michael Curhan, the number 24, starts 6th.
Moving on back to 7th, it's going to be Chris Rabel in the 29 machine. Next to him, JT Poole in the 26, going to be rolling off in 8th.
And in 9th place, Cameron Hearn in the number 4, looking for a win. James Scioli starts 10th in the number 7.
Michael Sturgill is going to be rolling off in 11th in the 17 car. Rounding out row 6 is going to be Travis Beckner in the 28th in 12th.
And 13th place is Rafe Slate in the number 8. Douglas Newbegin will roll off on the outside of row 7 in the number 71.
Moving on back to 15th, 07 is Cedric Hunter will be starting on the inside. Next to him, Tyler Nichols in the 41 in 16.
And 17th place, Delonte Ballard in the number 21. Nick Silver in the 46 starts 18th.
Moving on back to 19th, going to be Garrett Grant in the number 5 machine. Rounding out your top 20, Jordan Martin in the 11 in 20th.
And 21st place, Seth Knoll, the number 1. Connor Hoare, a late add to the night, starts 22nd at the number 42.
Yeah, you start getting to the drivers that weren't able to put a qualifying time down here. Brendan Six, one of them in the 66 and 23rd. Skylar Shackelford is going to be starting in the 88 and 24th.
And the last couple rows, Jeremy Miller in the number 30, Ben Pierce, followed by Ed Robertson, Frankie Barroso, and then our last row, Dwayne Culberson and Jonathan Cogswell. So there's your starting lineup for tonight's 85-lap race from flag to flag. If we go green all the way, that's 1 hour and 15 minutes of racing. Will we get some yellows along the way, though, Hunter? I think that's yet to be seen. I don't know if anyone knows how this is going to race.
It's a very good question. We're not even sure how long they could go on fuel, but I'm assuming they can make it about 35-ish laps, maybe 40. They could stretch it out to 42 and try to make it a one-stop. That would be very interesting. But like I said, I kind of look at this like Pocono, because we had about 10 or so yellows in that race, and it could be treacherous, especially with how these guys get off the corners. And like we saw in practice, some of those were kind of way too close to the end of the safer barrier coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions about how the cars are going to race, but the bigger challenge, I think, is going to be maintaining control of your car over these long runs. What tires are you burning up? Is it the right front? Is it the right rear? And keep it out of the wall. And Finian, pick your passes at very intentional points. Don't shove your car down the inside late into a corner. You're bound to get yourself into some trouble. But already, Hunter picked the number 33 to win this race. Finian, who's your pick to get a job done tonight?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with Ricky Springer in the 51. He's looking pretty quick. I'm going to have him as my choice to win.
All right, Ricky Springer is Finian's pick. As far as my pick tonight, I like where Ryan Hartz is starting. I'm going to roll with the number 3. We'll start on the outside of the front row. I think he's due for one here tonight, so we'll see if he can get the job done. The Yard of Bricks, one of the interesting things I learned the first time I visited Indianapolis Motor Speedway back in 2020 was that line of bricks runs all the way into the infield. I had no clue, but that runs all the way through pit road, under the pagoda, and out the other side. Very interesting piece of history. Some of the original bricks from the original construction back in 1909, the entire 2.5 miles was paved in bricks before asphalt technology allowed them to build what is now one of the most famous racetracks in the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It hosts round number 11 of the Area Cup Series, and we're racing from Indy. Green flag flies, and Weishart leads them down. David Weishart clings to the lead, but just as they come out of turn 4, lap 1 is completed, and the field behind them getting single filed out, and now the dance begins. Look at Curran with a big shove. Ricky Springer goes over to cover as they launch down the front straightaway here at nearly 200 miles an hour, 195 into turn 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, these guys are carrying quite a bit of speed off into turn number 1 and turn number 3 at the end of the straightaway, and especially with the slipstream going to definitely be in effect. If you can time a decent run out of the corner, turns 2 and 4, prior to the straightaway, you can build up a pretty decent run and make a pass by the end. Again, though, it's going to require quite a bit of setup. Out in front, though, David Wise are breaking away from Ryan Hartz and Jake Nichols, who have occupied 2nd and 3rd. Springer dropping back to 4th.
Well, so far so clean as the field works their way in the middle of 3 and 4 down that short chute into turn 4 now. Saw some side-by-side towards the back with, I believe, Connor Horn. And now we head over to where Rafe Slade is, where they're battling for around, I'd say, the 11th position, or 12th, I should say, as Douglas Newbigging's looking to the inside.
Long straightaways here. Slate and Newbigging side by side. You mentioned Connor Horn also doing battle back here. He's up 4 spots in the early going. A good start to his race as Ballard and Slate run door to door. Finian, it is hard to stay side by side through these corners. It is very single file for most of this, and as the run goes on, it's going to get harder to maintain that outside groove.
Oh, very much is so. You're definitely going to want to be as low as possible, right up against the grass. And the key thing, too, we didn't really point out a whole lot, is that concrete curbing on the inside. You're going to want to get up right next to that curbing, but you want to stay away from it as much as possible, especially with how loose these cars on the exit. If you clip it just a little bit, it could end up sending your car around if you're not careful, as Ricky Spring gets a really good run on Jake Nichols, battling for 3rd.
And teammate, Jake Nichols almost got into Springer as he's heading down low, heading into turn 1. Teammate Ryan Hartz dropped low to give Springer a little bit of slipstream as he completes the pass.
And Chris Rabel doing battle with Travis Beckner here for 11th spot. Rafe Slate just behind them. And still pretty close, but I am seeing some separation building here, and that's something that the drivers are going to be looking forward to, is just getting into a rhythm here. This is a very rhythmic racetrack. You think of rhythmic tracks often as tracks like Bristol, where you're doing a lap very quickly, but here, the ends of the racetrack, while unique in some ways, you really can build yourself into a rhythm, muscle memory almost, when you're jumping on the brakes here, and you will be on the brakes over the course of a run to get these things slowed down.
Taking a look now at Greg Mitchell in behind JT Pools, trying to build up a run. Will actually not go for a pass. Looks like Mitchell's just trying to sit in behind, give him a little bit of a bump. They're trying to catch up to Michael Curran, who's up in 5th, and he's actually over the back bumper of Jake Nichols.
Curran getting closer to the 73 of Nichols as they continue to navigate their way through turn 2. Again, we stand with Dean, reference to Dean Thompson's incident from mid-Ohio, as Curran looks to gain slipstream and possibly make a move and into 3.
Had a good run here, but he's going to sit on it for now. Isn't going to make a move. Can't say the same about Mitchell. This time has a look on JT Poole into turn 3. Such tight racing here, side by side through the corner, and look out. James Scioli's got a great view of this on board with the 7, and he'll take a spot away from JT Poole if he can muscle on by.
Yeah, you saw right there how much slower they were being side by side, the 2 and the 26. That allowed Skyler to get a massive run, and you see him peeling off to the side, trying to avoid the 26 getting any side draft. So Skyler's moving up a spot, and he's been moving up pretty solidly, already up to 7th from starting in 10th. And as you look further down the order, Seth Knoll starting in from the back. He's trying he's actually not moving up a whole lot.
Oh my goodness, very close here as Jeremy Miller battles with the number 46, the Battle Beaver Camaro, Nick Silver.
That was about as tight as I think you can get without hooking someone's quarter panel. Again, we're operating with very high speeds here and trusting the internet quite a bit to make sure that these battles don't turn ugly. And just ahead of them is Connor Horn, who's up 5 spots, one of our biggest movers so far, and has Tyler Nichols in his windshield and Delonte Ballard in the rearview mirror. So a couple solar flare cars that he is flanked by right now.
Yeah, so Connor and his teammate Jeremy Miller moving up 5 spots apiece. I think they're going to continue to try to move forward as much as possible, at least before any sort of caution comes out. But that not looking too likely at the moment because everyone's kind of spread out a little bit, a couple battles here and there throughout the field. But fairly orderly line at the moment.
Horn, look at the run he got off the corner. Now he's going to get alongside the quarter panel of Tyler Nichols as he's looking for that position. That's the 16th spot. Going to try and complete it, heading into 3.
A little side draft there for a moment, and he will complete that pass. Oh, spin behind him. It's Nick Silver in the 46, and there goes the 30 of Jeremy Miller across the racetrack, and the caution is out. Oh, he gets hit again.
Oh, look out, Culberson.
And they'll kind of two-car tangos turn around. But our first incident of the night at lap number 8.
How did that happen?
But watch the 30 and the 46. Big check up there into 3. But then Seth Knoll gets into the back of the 30 and kind of trips that whole thing off. Big hit there for the 30 of Miller. All right, here, there's just big stack up. Kind of a chain reaction accordion effect. And the 46 almost gets it sorted, and then the 30 back across the racetrack, hard into the wall. And then Culberson here, I think, is going to come on through and is already kind of committed. And just
there's another car that clips Silver here.
Yeah, right there. Who is that? That
is
Barroso.
Frankie Barroso.
See what he saw on board. He's a long way behind these guys.
I guess he was expecting to go one way, and unfortunately they didn't go that way.
Yeah, it's hard to change your line once you're committed to the corner here. Yeah.
Gas it up. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he almost had it missed. But wasn't able. It did not a lot of damage either, so he should be all right. But first Simrat Market replay of the night as our first yellow is out.
Changing strategy.
Oh,
wow.
My goodness.
Fakes in and out of pit lane.
Very split strategy. It's like 50-50.
I was going to say this is interesting because I heard Ricky Springer jumping on the clutch when the caution came out, and around the track he was coasting around a little bit. So I wasn't expecting him to stay out, but yeah, that's interesting stuff. So I'm guessing guys are figuring they can go on one stop. I would think that's the call.
Try and push it.
They're going to try.
Like the strategist in the background has made the call for Ricky Springer to stay out, and by doing that, he's taken over as the leader of the race.
Yeah, interesting calls, and a lot of drivers on pit road that are taking the opportunity. You're certainly not going to use your tire allotment tonight, so you might as well take them, I guess. And I'd have to imagine that just a couple laps into a run, your tires would start to burn up here, but with the next gen, we haven't seen the tire wear be as significant as we'd expect, Finian. So that's a nice way of saying it doesn't. The tires wear like iron. So
no, I was just gonna say that if it was the trucks or the Xfinity, the Pro Series cars, I think that would be the case where the tires will be a lot more effective. But with the next gen, like you said, some tracks it definitely does wear a lot more than others. Here I would expect it to matter quite a bit, but we'll have to really see. I mean, we got 20 test subjects to really see how much the fresh tires are going to matter. We have the top 11, all of which have stayed out on these older tires. They're not too terribly old, but it could either matter quite a bit or not matter quite a lot. Actually, this split amongst the guys that came out, Douglas Newbigging and Seth Knoll, as well as Brandon Six and Ben Pierce, taking 2 tires instead of 4.
I like the 2-tire call, Hunter. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't pit because we're still too early into a run, but if you're trying to do the one-stop strategy, save it on fuel, then I guess it would be the way to go, but I'm with the mixed bag, like 50-50 with it. Some that did come in took 2, some took 4. Weishart was the first one out that took 4. He's going to be restarting in the 13th spot, and one of those 11 that did stay out was Travis Spector. I know we're only 10 laps into this race, but tomorrow night the Truck Series goes to the small racetrack. They don't go to the big Indianapolis. They go to Little Indy, IRP, and I've already heard from around the area Discord, that he is the heavy favorite to win. Apparently he has great handling truck for tomorrow night's race, but still got a shot to win tonight's race and kiss the virtual yard of bricks.
Just want to point out before we go back green, you saw 2 cars on the apron going slow. That's Nick Silver and Dwayne Culberson. I think they came in for damage repair, and we're trying to get back out. Unfortunately, unlike the movie cars, they did not beat the pace car out on the pit lane.
And Jeremy Miller trying to catch back up. I wonder how much that damage is going to affect him. Probably a bit. He's only doing
a decent lick to the right front.
Only doing about 171 on full song there, so not looking super good for him. Before we get back green, race fans, be sure to visit simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Let's focus on this racetrack, though. Ready to go back green at lap number 11 after a 3-car incident involving Seth Knoll, Jeremy Miller, Nick Silver. You could throw Frankie Barroso in there as well. Pace cars off. Springer chooses the outside lane for the restart. And packed up, paired up, green flag back in the air once again from Indianapolis.
Yeah, Ricky Springer coming in front of his teammate to secure the lead. Ryan Hart's trying to hold off Jake Nichols in behind. Michael Curran stuck on the top side. JT Poole trying to make some noise, break inside and get 4th place.
The field rolls through turn 2 and down the long back straightaway. It's still a door-to-door battle between Sturgill and JT Poole. Most of the field single files out, but now Poole going to tuck in line.
Yeah, Connor Horn up to 9th place. Is the second to last of the drivers that stayed out. Wow, the 29 of Rabel's way out of the groove there. No rubber up there. He's in the marbles and in the wall. And look out. This 21 of Delonte Ballard changed lanes, and Weishart had to bail out of the throttle. Weishart is the first driver on those 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, I think that was Rabel trying to bail out because Beckner checked up, I think, earlier than he was expecting. So he lost a couple spots and picked up just a little bit of damage. So far, so good as we watch David Weishart working through the field. So between him and Douglas Newbing, they're going to be interesting ones to watch because see if those fresh tires are helping out.
Look at him as he leans his head, navigating through turn 2. Gonna have a nice run down this back straightaway here. He can push to 7, or he can duck to the inside, and it looks like he's gonna do just that. Hold on, folks. We might be looking 3 wide, heading into 3.
Oh boy, 3 across into turn 3 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Weishart bails out. Scioli goes by Rabel, who continues to lose ground. This time, Weishart will pull even with the 29 and should be able to clear him. But that already tells me that the tires aren't an enormous advantage, Finian, because he was side by side with the 29 a lap ago and just now got by. Typically when that advantage is large, you're passing 2-3 cars a lap, but he hasn't moved super fast. But they are making a little bit of headway. Here comes Scioli down the inside of Ballard.
Yeah, I think it'll help them out a little bit. Not a whole lot. They'll gain some advantage, but compared to what we would see in the other series cars, I don't think there's going to be as much of an advantage as they would particularly like. So they go by the 21 of Ballard, so Scioli and Weishart up in beside Douglas Newbiging, who's ahead of them. He has 2 fresh tires, and now you can see Rabel making a move, or Mitchell making a move on Rabel.
As they continue to battle, last lap by, it was a 52.990 for Ricky Springer. David Weishart, 52.909. So nearly identical lap times as, boy, they are having trouble navigating around Rabel on the outside.
Yeah, Rabel's really struggling right now. Just can't get back in line. Cameron Hearn's not going to let him either, and Cedric Hunter's in line. All Ford's here, but they're not playing with the blue ovals. It is every man for himself right now as we work lap 14.
And Hunter going to come up in behind and potentially give Hearn a shove as Rabel continues to drop back. And he tries to see if he can get back into the bottom line, but can't quite do so. Hunter is going to poke his nose down there and will just get on by.
Wow, look at this mess.
Almost 3-car tango. And now here comes Newbing looking to the inside of Slade. Meanwhile, right behind him, that is Weishart in the 33. He's caught these 2 as the 8 goes high, the 71 middle. Here comes the 33 low.
And past the 7 of Scioli. He was trailing the 7 about a lap ago, so he has found something now and is about to crash.
Whoa, Newbing loose.
Big slide, and a couple other cars slid behind. Maybe it's not the tire wear, but just the temperature of them sliding those rear tires across this very hot track surface. But now they're double wide into turn 1. Slate under fire from Weishart.
Yeah, I was going to say the track is 123 degrees, so that is a bit slick. So combine that with some worn tires, these guys are going to be sliding around a little bit. You're going to have to try to control that as much as possible. So Weishart making good progress up into 9th. Also making some good progress is Connor Horn. Restarted in 10th up to 7th. That 42 is showing some decent pace, and if he can get to more track position, might have a chance of fighting for the lead. Speaking of fights, though, up for the lead, Curran just got passed by GT Poole up into 4th.
Oh, wow, the 73 of Nichols.
Chased it.
Big understeer in middle of turn 3, chasing the 3 of Ryan Hartz, and he just walked it up the hill. And I thought he was going to pancake it, Hunter, but he just touched it.
Yeah, gave it a little smooch right there, just on the edge of that safer barrier. And now he's got JT Poole all in his rearview mirror. So they roll into one.
That big scramble into turn one behind them. Seth Knoll, Cameron Hearn, Douglas Newbegin, Cedric Hunter. There's a couple little gaggles like this, and while the leaders are spreading just a bit, Finian, there's still lots of side-by-side battles.
Whoa.
This one's getting hooked together, and the 71's way up the track and into the wall.
Ooh, that got kind of feisty there. Knoll pushing up Newbegin into the wall.
Oh, it still hasn't done yet.
Yeah, it actually started with Newbegin. I was just looking back at it quickly. Newbegin actually came down into Knoll, and that caused Knoll to get hooked up into him and then push Newbegin into the wall. So interesting stuff there. Battle still not done. Cedric Hunter side by side with Seth Knoll. Knoll trying to work on the outside. You got to be so careful with these stock cars working that outside lane because you could easily find the wall if you gas it up a little too early.
Yeah, here's another look at it. They were coming through. This is turn one, but watch into turn two. The 71 on the outside comes down the racetrack right there, gets into the one, and they just kind of get hooked together and then walk it up the road and into the outside wall. Whoa, man, it's racy between this group.
Yeah. Cedric Hunter just getting clear. Seth Knoll. Knoll then now trying to defend from Chris Rabel, who's trying to make some forward progress after he's dropped a lot of spots since the restart, back to 18th.
Yep. Meanwhile, Connor Horn has just moved into 6th, passing Sturgill. Weishart up to 8th, passing Beckner as they single file out towards the back. And then we got Rafe Slade, and that's Delonte Ballard in the 21 with Greg Mitchell power into the outside.
And he'll give Slade a big shove up the front straightaway now. I'll tell you what, if these cars race this good on this track in real life, forget the road course. I love the road course, but man, maybe we ought to give the oval another shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's always needed the right package, and towards the end of the Gen 6 era, that package just was not good for Indianapolis. This is looking a lot better, and these guys can really get some good moves. Look at Greg Mitchell bring up this move, and now he's going to like to make a move on the 8 and not push him around. Should be able to get clear by the time to get to turn 3, and there goes Greg Mitchell. And Slate's still going to try to put up a fight on the outside.
There's only so much you can do in that outer groove in the turn. Slate's going to have to back off, give the 11th spot to Mitchell. Now Delonte Ballard, as they in his crosshairs, going to try and run him down for 12th. Meanwhile, Springer continues to lead. We go a little further back. Tyler Nichols.
Actually, for the lead, for second at least, Jake Nichols looking back to the inside of Ryan Hartz.
They'll try this one again. He tried and failed last time. It was into 3. This time, though, into turn 1. He's going to complete this, I think. But JT Poole and Curhan are here as well to spice it up.
Jake Nichols, just barely avoiding those concrete curbs, trying to get as much of that bottom lane as possible. He will make the pass. Ryan Hart's now under attack. JT Poole trying to charge for a 3rd place. So this is interesting stuff. I actually thought that Jake Nichols was going to start to fall off as he hits the wall. Ryan Hart's has got a piece of the wall entering 3.
Very tight for 3rd, 4th, and 5th on track as, Michael Curran's got quite a view out of his number 24 Flash Picks Ford Fusion, or Mustang, I should say, not Fusion. Back in the day, it was a Fusion, but solid speed inside the top 5, looking to gain 1 more position on the 3 of Hearts.
The speeds were doing 193 off into turn 1. Good velocity change, down to 156 in the corner. It's a 40-mile-an-hour delta, Finn, and I think that's what's helping is you have to slow down so much that you're driving this like you would a Pocono or a road course where you really have to slow the car down. Look at these 3 all tight out of turn number 2.
Yeah, Ryan Hart's got a poor run off at turn 2. Michael Curran trying to see if he can take some advantage. Has just a little bit of a look down the back straightaway. Also, one thing I wanted to point out too, right before the caution came out, Ryan Hartz was actually ahead of Ricky Springer, and Hartz actually let Springer on by to try to charge back up and get the lead back from Weiser, but now Hartz is getting passed by Michael Curran, so Hartz now dropping slowly down the order.
A little further back, there's the 8 of Slate, the 4 of Hearn, battling out for the 13th. It's actually 12th, excuse me. 13th is Slate, but Delonte Ballard going to be right behind him going into the turn. And to give folks an update on lap times, the leader, Ricky Springer, just ran a 53.924. Weishart, the first one on 4 tires, 53.419. So he is a half second quicker than the race leader. He's catching on the 3 of Hearts in a hurry.
Yeah, he's up 6 spots from where he restarted. So the progress has been real, but it also has not been breakneck necessarily. But it might pay off in the long run here. But you have to wonder, how much longer can the drivers that didn't pit, how much longer can they run? Maybe another 10 laps, Finian, maybe?
Well, that's the big thing, right? They're going to want, ideally, they're going to want to try to make it to lap, what would that be? Lap 42, lap 43. That would be halfway through. And that's what I thought they were going to be going for. Otherwise, if they had a pit earlier, if you had to make it a two-stop, I don't see why
car
you
on the
wouldn't
wall.
have
Sorry, Finian, top of the hill. That is Ben Pierce. That he got into the wall pretty hard at a turn number 4 and just entered the turn high and just could not recover it. And right here, got into it pretty well.
That's the thing with these corners here in Indy. You have to be pretty much in the middle of the track. That's the high line. If you run up against the wall, if you try to run the Larson line here, you're going to pack it into the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, there is no Larson line at this track, and right behind the leader of Springer, that is the purple 73 Solar Flare Racing machine of Jake Nichols. As, boy, there in the background you can see David Weishart has caught Ryan Hartz, but Nichols has caught Springer, and he's looking for the lead.
Side by side for the top spot here at the Brickyard. Jake Nichols powering on by in the Solar Flare Chevrolet into turn 1. Springer on the outside. He might have to concede this, but he's not going to. Still side by side through turn 1.
He knows if he can pinch Jake Nichols, it'll cause him to slow down in the middle of the corner just like that. If he can prevent Nichols from getting the full width of the corner on the exit, he can bleed off some speed. Now here comes Springer. He's going to try to charge back, but look at JT Poole sitting in the wings. He's going to make it 3 wide. He's going to try.
3 wide for the lead, heading into 3. Someone's got to give. Springer, Nichols, Poole, high, middle, low. Springer going to have to back out from first. Might drop to 4th. JT Poole looking for the lead as he head into 4.
Yeah, he was all out of sorts, though. Kind of wiggling and wobbling and had to give out. So that will give the lead to Jake Nichols. Middle 3 wide. Then JT Poole slots into 2nd. Curhan up to 3rd. Springer falls to 4th. It is a revolving door up front here as we work lap 24. This is exciting, guys.
I was going to say, this is some fantastic racing here with all these guys, and it's still not done yet. Michael Curran trying to see if he can break it around the 26, and then also we got David Weishart, who is loving all of that because it's allowed the leaders to stack back up, and now he has a shot.
Not to mention right behind Weishart, you got the 7 of Scioli coming through as well. Springer getting real loose coming out too. That's going to allow for the car behind, and then Weishart to gain alongside of him and possibly make a move on the outside as they work their way into 3.
Someone pointed out that JT Poole appears to have a popcorn machine in the background. Indeed he does. Top left of his head.
Is it running?
No.
Oh.
But I guess it could, in theory. Anyway.
Concentration on his face as well.
Yeah, he's busy, and so is everyone from 4th on back.
Whoa.
Weishart, Curhan, Hartz, and Scioli.
Hartz just gave Weishart a massive shove into turn 1. That actually got him clear of Michael Curran. James Scully over the back of the 3, trying to see if he can make his way on by. So for Weishart and Scully, this is actually starting to work out in their favor a little bit more because the leaders are starting to fight with one another.
It's the move for the long run, but for the short run, it's the opposite of what you want to do, as they are side by side for 3rd, heading into 3. That's Springer on the outside, Weishart down low, and they're right behind Michael Curran. Going to follow the tire tracks of Springer and then cut back low. Weishart has the advantage for 3rd as they head off of 4.
Curran's got a great perspective of this, but do you pick a line or do you go 3 wide? I don't think he's got the momentum to do the former, so he will follow the 33 who's on fresh tires.
I think in a 3 wide scenario, you don't want to be that person on the inside because you're absolutely going to be pinched by not only 1 car on the outside, but 2 cars on the outside, as we saw with JT Poole. So you have very little run off the corner. It only really works if you can absolutely send it into the corner and get clear. But you see Michael Curran really slow at the apex. Here comes James Scioli. And for Scioli, this has worked out brilliantly because he was 7th at the time of the caution. He's now from 6th now up to 5th. Might be 4th if he can get past Ricky Springer.
Connor Horn is entering in the mix, as well as Mitchell and Sturgill, not too far behind as they continue to duke it out between Curran and Hartz. A little wiggle there in the back from Horn, but the top 5 have seemed to calm down, and now the battle is going to be for 6th as they head off the turn for 26 laps of completion.
Yeah, the fight keeps kind of sliding backwards. Like a couple drivers will break away, then the fight kind of rekindles in behind them. But there goes Scioli past Ricky Springer for 4th place. That should open the door back for Kurhan now between turns 1 and 2. Pretty hard to make moves on these short shoots between the main corners, though, Finian. Most of the runs are going to be into turn 1 and into turn 3. This is unique in that the shape of this track is a literal oval. It's got distinct corners and short sections between it, but there's not much you can do between those sections other than maybe throw a glance at the driver ahead of you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you very rarely would see anyone dare to make a move entering turn 4 or entering turn 2. It is very hard to set up a move like that, but you can start to build up a move down the next straightaway, and that's what you really see a lot of these guys end up doing, just setting up and planning for these big runs. Just look at Connor Horn. He's in behind Ryan Hartz as Hartz continues to drop down from now back to 7th place, as Weisart's making some decent pace in on the leaders, trying to catch up to JT Poole and Jake Nichols, and Nichols actually has a lap car ahead of him. Jeremy Miller is about to go lap down.
Oh my goodness. Curran might have tapped the wall there coming out of turn 1. He's in the middle of that 5-car conga line led by Springer, as you can see the in-studio setup of Curran. He's going to look down low for the 5th spot, going to be heading into turn 3 here. He might have the advantage, and right behind them, Horn just made a move on Hartz.
Side by side for both of these positions. Oh, is there a touch there between the 42 and 3? Sends the 3 up the track, and Springer and Kurhan almost came together. This is fantastic stuff, and Greg Mitchell's got the best seat in the house in his number 2 Ford Mustang. Still side by side ahead of him, and he might take him 3 abreast as they storm down the front straight here at Indy.
I don't think he's going to go to it. It's going to be it would be a very low percentage chance of that working out for him. So he's going to give a shove to the 42, trying to make it work on the inside. Connor Horn will get clear, and now Greg Mitchell's going to do battle with the 3 of Ryan Hartz as they get close off of turn 1. Meanwhile, up ahead, Springer and Curran still fighting it out as James Scully makes it. Whoa, a little loose off of turn 2 for James Scully.
Oh, man.
Oh, a little wiggle there from Springer coming out turn 2. 5th on back. It is a mess here as Horn's got to push the 24 of Curran. Going to give him the advantage heading into turn 3. In the midst of this, Cameron Hearn has now entered the fray for this. So we have about 5, 6, maybe 7 cars here, tightly knit, 5th on back.
Great battles in the shadow of the pagoda here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And remember what is on the line. Next week, as this one car hits pit lane, that's the 17 of Sturgill at lap 29. Remember, next week, we're doing our cutoff race for the playoffs. The playoffs begin after Talladega next week. So this is your last race where you really can control your own destiny, and that makes it very important for those that are below the cut line. Next week is a crapshoot. Who knows where you're going to finish? You can't go into Talladega banking on a win. You got to get it done before then, and this is your last opportunity.
And speaking of that, Cameron Hearn, as he worked past Jeremy Miller, going a lap down, he's in a spot where he needs to get some good finishes. He has a win this season, but due to missing a race and also just a string of poor performances, he's on 28th in the points. Now, to get that win and you're in, you have to be in the top 20. So these next 2 rounds, he's got to get good finishes as Connor Horn makes contact with Greg Mitchell. Here comes Cameron Hearn up the inside, and Connor Horn really starting to struggle. Here he's coming down to pit lane.
It's a good call by the 42. Going to bring it in, and Cameron Hearn 31 points behind Chris Rabel, who sits 20th in points, and Rabel not having a solid run tonight as he's back in 21st. So Cameron Hearn going to be looking for more here as the race goes on. Jake Nichols still leading, and the lap times between Nichols and Weishart, they've kind of stabled out. So the tire wear has gone away on Weishart, the freshness of those tires. From being in that battle for as many laps as he was, closing in on Poole, but not so much on the leader, Jake Nichols.
Yeah, for Jake Nichols and everyone else, they have to take note of the 73 leading the race. When you give Jake Nichols the opportunity to pace the race, you're going to have a really hard time running him back down. Restarts will give him the advantage. Green flag runs will give him the advantage. So you have to find some raw pace on Jake Nichols, and that is just hard to do once he's out front. So something to consider. So again, every man versus Jake. You know if you put him in a spot to win, he's going to try to do it. And he's only come up short a couple of times. And this season has been uncharacteristically poor for the 73, but he's still, well, basically out front.
Well, it's poor for him in the win column.
Yes.
If you look at the top 5s and top 10s, he's finished in the top 5 every single race this season. That is a stupidly consistent season by any stretch of the imagination. I actually want to check what his average finish is this season. It is 2.7.
Yeah, uncharacteristically poor only because he doesn't have the wins. But by every other measure, he has by far been the dominant force. But the wins get really dangerous when you move into the playoffs because that is that automatic progression to the next round. And you can't let Jake get away with any more than would come to him normally. So dangerous there. A couple
Springer's
of cars
coming in.
Yep, Ricky Springer going to peel off. Locked him up just a touch.
I could tell Bruce from his corner exits off turn 2 to last handful of laps. That 51 was getting way too loose on corner exit. Not worth it. Going to come in, put on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, and see what he can do out of that. Lap 33 of 85. Jake Nichols still leading. Wiseheart second. He got around JT Pulse, as did Scioli. Curran still holding 5th, and Travis Beckner now closing in on Rafe's 10th spot.
Yeah, Travis Beckner has a win. It came back at Michigan earlier this year. And he's had some pretty good runs at these bigger tracks. 5th at Atlanta, which is a draft track. 1st at Michigan, obviously. Other than Daytona, where he had a 27th. Whoa. Big slide there for him. But he's had some pretty good successes and is 3rd in the standings coming into the night. Doesn't need a knockout performance, but it hasn't been much of one anyway for him tonight. Running 11th after starting in 12th.
Yeah, trying to make a move on race slate. Both of them have yet to pit this race so far, continuing to stretch it out. And I am really curious to see how much of the drivers that have not come into pit, how much further they can stretch it out.
Yeah, we're still...
Only time will tell. Yeah, some of these guys are closing in on 34 laps. Oh,
28.
Beckner's caught the wall.
Yeah, he caught it pretty hard that time, too. That's the kind of hard that will impact your performance right there. That was a pretty big clock. Following in the arrow shadow of that number 8 Finian. That's something that we've seen be a challenge tonight. It even happened to Nichols following Hartz earlier in the race. If you're just following too closely and you're not catching the nose of your car, there's no banking to catch you. If you let the nose slide out, you're going to ride into the wall. And you know it 3 seconds before you hit it. There's just nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's the really tough thing is with these stock cars in particular. You're so reliant on getting into the corner, and that's pretty much how you're going to exit beforehand. So down the road, if you end up making a mistake, you're going to find out only right until you hit that wall. So it's so deceptive because you think you can push it a little bit more, but it tightens up so much on the exit with the way these cars handles that if you push it too much in entry, you're definitely going to hurt yourself on the exit of the corner.
Well, things have calmed down now as focus in on Ryan Hartz. He's been in the middle of chaos, seems like the majority of his race so far, as we're nearing the halfway point. Him and Greg Mitchell duking it out, 6th and 7th on the racetrack. Mitchell pitted 26 laps ago. Hartz has yet to make a pit stop. He was one of the few that did stay out.
Yeah, Mitchell's the 3rd driver on fresh tires, so performance is pretty solid tonight. And Cameron Hearn, the 4th driver on fresh tires. And you mentioned it earlier, how important it is for him to claw his way up in the standings. Just needs consistent results and consistent good results. The challenge is it's this week and next week. That's all you got. So, there's...
Yeah, one of them is a super speedway.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is an argument to be made about just go out there and try to win it because it might be an all or nothing next week anyway. Travis Beckner losing another spot.
Yep, looking a little further back, Brandon 6. He actually is the first one on, I believe, 2 tires, or that might be a splash and go. He's only 5 seconds in the pit box, but got around the 28 of Beckner. And I was going to say the top 3 is getting close as Beckner makes his way on the pit road. Nichols has been running slower lap times, so 54.7 that last time from Jake Nichols. Weishart 54.4. James Scioli 54.3. 2nd and 3rd closing in on 1st.
Yeah, this is probably about the time now when those tires are, I mean, they're equalizing, yes, but they're not quite there. And so it's just Weishart chipping away. Now, Weishart was leading this race when he came down pit lane. And he's just now getting back to the top spot. So as far as furthering the strategy, it looks like Weishart made a mistake, Finian, but that was a play for much later in this race, not to lead it at lap 30 when that wouldn't do you a lot of good. He's thinking the long game here.
I was going to say, if he only has to come down to pit lane one more time, this might have been the call to make, and it's really, again, this is going to be extremely dependent on how much he can go further, but it's looking more and more like these guys are able to go a little bit extra, the guys that have stayed out. I think the main reason a lot of them are coming in is just because the tires are starting to give out, and they're really starting to lose a lot of performance, especially if they're in the slipstream behind another driver. They just go way too tight. So a lot of them have started to come in, but the leaders have mostly stayed out. Jake Nichols, JT Poole, Michael Curran, Ryan Hartz, and Rafe Slate all yet to come in. And actually, as I say that, Ryan Hartz, dude, did you just catch a piece of the wall?
He was real slow, and
he got loose out the corner and got on the wall.
Yeah. Tank slapped it pretty hard. Again, that's enough damage to cause you some strife with the suspension, so we'll have to keep an eye on Ryan Hartz.
He's coming down to pit lane.
Not a good
no
sign.
surprise after that contact.
Oh, and another driver up ahead, JT Poole, coming in as well.
Yeah, the thing with the damage on these new cars, and this goes for the real cars as well, is that they don't necessarily show damage all that much, but you can knock them out of whack pretty well without it showing anything on the body. They're just such tanks. And, you know, look back at Atlanta just last night, all the cars that were in wrecks, you would never even tell. But
yeah,
they were retired while their bodies were entirely intact just because of the damage done underneath.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the big thing is the body is you don't have like sheet metal hanging on by a thread flapping about in the breeze. The bodywork is very sturdy on these new cars.
Still duking it out there. Brandon 6 and Rafe Slate, the 66 and 8, fighting for the 8th spot. And right behind them, Seth Nolan, the 1, tailing up towards the wall. Very close there to scraping it on corner exit, but he's also joining in on this mix.
So for Jake Nichols, he has not yet pit. Probably the best example of a driver that hasn't pit because he's leading. 40 laps in, Finian. We are 2 laps shy of a one-stop strategy.
Well, also one thing you have to really be considerate of is the fact we had 3 laps under caution. So it's not. So that was a significantly reduced pace. So these guys might have to go another extra lap or two. And I think I just heard Jake Nichols calling that he's coming down to pit lane this time by.
And it's a long lap to save fuel too.
So these guys might be short a little bit.
Yeah, from looking at this, you're gonna have to go an extra 5 laps. You're gonna have to make it a lap 45. If you haven't yet pit, if you want to have a shot at trying to one-stop it. So the 73 is going to be making his way on down. It's going to turn into a fight for the lead between Weishart and Scioli as Nichols makes his way on the pit road. Curran on the pit road as well.
Now, how much will these two work together? I mean, fight for the lead maybe, but as far as competition, now that they've got clear track ahead of them, but they've got a strategy to maintain here, Finian, so will the gloves come off a touch?
I don't know. I don't really see the point for Scioli to fight, because if we've seen how much time these guys lose when they battle side by side here. You lose a lot of time. So for him, I mean, he's got what, 4 seconds back to Greg Mitchell. So if I'm Scioli, I would just sit in behind Weiser and just kind of follow him around, save a little bit of gas, make sure that you can make it on fuel, come to the pits, get fresh tires, and then start battling it out.
Ooh, little wiggle there from Weishart in the middle of 3, but these two are definitely inside their window. As I'm looking at this leaderboard right now, the top 8 all pitted under that first yellow, so they're all within the window to come down now and pit. And they can make it to the end on fuel, but they're obviously going to want to go until their fuel runs out. Weishart on the radio there communicating as he
what that is?
hits a little vape. Yeah, a little bit.
The radio is smoking, guys. Got to go to the backup. No, I was just, it's interesting just because you've got time on the straightaways here, right? It gives you a bit of a mental break. You can kind of calculate. I mean, there's some tracks, a lot of the road courses, the short tracks, where being a one-man crew and having to navigate fuel strategy can be a real pain. But here at Indianapolis, you've got straightaways that are long enough that between the corners, you've got enough time to look down and check things and kind of run some mental calculations without overloading your brain. So this is one of those tracks that's a bit easier to kind of one-man show it, versus some tracks you really do need a dedicated crew just to manage your fuel system. And some of the things iRacing has added make that a little easier as well. Auto refueler.
Oh yeah, sure. I keep forgetting that they have the auto fuel calculator, the auto fuel refill now.
Not sure how effective it is or how many drivers use it, but it is a tool in the toolkit.
I mean, you don't have to download third-party software now. At least that's kind of a nice. They added that in. So now you don't really have an excuse to not do that properly, because they revamped that whole thing.
As I'm looking through here, that's the 8 of Rafe Slate. He's just now coming off of pit road, actually going to be in the middle of this battle for the lead. Him and Chris Rabel came down and pitted. They went about 41 laps on a tank of fuel, so that's the furthest that anyone has gone in this race. And I'm looking at it now, the top 16 have yet to come in and make their pit stops. These are all the guys that have pitted under that first caution. The first one out that did pit under green is Ricky Springer back in 17.
Yeah, so here's the situation now is in about 2 laps, the drivers that are out front now that already pit, they can make their final stop and make it to the end. Well, maybe 3 or 4 more laps. They can make it to the end with no concerns and run a green-white checkered. The challenge for everyone else is
for the lead.
Oh, yes. Watching the lap car.
Yeah, well, I think he got a lot of wash off the 8 of Race Slate, and he's got the yield. Here comes number 7, Jamie Scully, back to the lead.
Yeah, so I guess what I was saying is the drivers that already pit, they can easily go on one more stop, which everyone can that's pitted now, but they also have the track position now, so this definitely played in their favor. And yellow flags are really going to be necessary for anyone to mix it up from here.
Oh. And that's Delonte Bowden, the 21 again, right in the middle of that. So, not what Weishart wants to see.
He's focusing. He's got his tongue hanging out. Or he did.
No, he's losing ground. He's losing a lot of ground since the 8 of Slate got in the middle of that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Actually, no, I should be surprised. I'm surprised that Weishart's kind of falling off, especially with fresh tires. Oh, sorry, no, these guys are on old tires.
36 lap old tires, yeah.
Yes. So I think what we're seeing here, I think Weiser has definitely used up his stuff more than Scioli, because I think Weiser kind of pushed everyone out of the way, and Scioli just kind of picked up the pieces. So Weiser gets really, really tight off of turn 3 right there. So he has to keep a gap to Scioli because that dirty air is killing him right now.
And we should mention that they're only about 5 laps away, Hunter, from having to pit again.
Indeed. Everyone else that has pitted, unless they can stretch it, I'm looking right here at Ricky Springer, and he pitted 12 laps ago. He's going to have to come down and make another pit stop, because if he stretches it another 30 laps max, that's lap 75. So he would still have to come down, probably do half a can of fuel, and out she goes. But yeah, there's some of these guys that did pit, and I'm even looking back here. Connor Horn, Michael Sturgill, 14 laps for Horn, 15 laps for Sturgill. These guys are going to have to come down pit once some more.
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting as the run goes on.
Is that the strategy, though, is to short fuel? I mean, they're a long ways back where short fueling isn't even going to do them a lot of good, right? I mean, everyone's got to pit one more time, but they're back. Everyone's got to do the same thing, except the drivers that just came down pit lane, they could probably short fuel a little bit, but that's not going to make up for the massive time loss that they've had. So really, this puts them pretty far behind the 8 ball unless that short fueling strategy would work out for them, and I guess I could see that being reasonable, especially if they make up some time on fresh tires, Finian, but that's really the only way I see this playing out unless they get a yellow.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think everyone that stayed out and didn't come into that first caution, they're really going to need a caution to get themselves back into this, because they were, I think, really caught off on the strategy. I started to look more and more like pitting under that first caution was the way to go. It was just far enough into the race where it made it so that you only had to make one more stop. While it looks like everyone that stayed out is going to pretty much have to come in for a second time, whether they'll most likely come in, just take 2 tires, get them out of fuel they need and get going. They don't want to lose too much more time than they already have. I think the only one out of that group that could probably make it is maybe Rafe Slate, Dante Ballard, and Chris Rabel, and that's if they do some really good fuel saving.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Jake Nichols was probably going to have to make one more stop. It's going to be close if he wants to stretch it on fuel. Hearn is coming down pit road, and there's another car behind him that's pitting as well. That's Jordan Martin. Is there one more back here? No.
Not yet. Well, there is. Well, Ben Pierce, trouble for the 65, and he has hit the wall hard.
I saw him with a meatball flag. I wasn't sure where he was on the track. So this started out of turn 2 for him.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a lap. Let's have a look. First incident in a long time.
Is in behind Douglas Newbegin.
Oh, just steers left to miss him, and then
oh goodness.
And then he broke that left front suspension, so he's just going to ride this wall to make sure that he doesn't go.
James Scully just came in flying in front of him.
Well, and David Weishart kind of got stuck behind him. I don't think he realized how badly damaged that 65 is as we jump back live and the leaders on pit lane.
Yeah, that forced just a little bit of an extra gap between Weishart and Scully.
Yeah, even these two, they went 39 laps on a tank of fuel. Oh boy, a lot of cars pinned behind them. Seth Knoll, Ed Robertson, Cogswell. So yeah, these guys are pinning now. They're going to go the rest of the way on fuel. If we get a late caution and a green-white checker, they might be pushing the boundaries a little bit. But if this thing goes green to the end, these guys are pinning now. They're good to go.
There's the 7. There's the 33. Kind of come back out the way they came in. They will jump back on the racetrack. But Greg Mitchell leads the way, and he's going to also elect to come down pit road. And Cedric Hunter is going to follow him. So strategy is all kind of converging here a bit. Nichols runs third. And he is also going to hit pit lane this time.
And a lot of these guys are having good races from the way this strategy worked out, especially Cameron Hearn and Cedric Hunter, both of them running very strong. Ooh, Travis Beckner a little bit sideways there, battling with Ryan Hartz for 10th place. And there'll be a few more spots here as they pass 2 or 3 guys up pit lane.
I believe it's going to cycle to 7th on the track. Yep, it's going to be 7th, and that's held by Hartz. 8th is held by Beckner, but the lead now held by JT Poole. Got out in front of Ricky Springer. He's got a 1-second gap, and then right behind Springer, half a second back from him, it's Connor Horn.
Yeah, so JT's kind of on an intermediate strategy here, right? He's 11 laps into his stint. I guess that is the strategy, right?
What?
I'm losing count of who's where. So where's Connor Horn at?
Horn is 19 laps in. He's definitely going to come in and pit again.
Yeah, so Poole's kind of on the later edge of that strategy. So they're not all kind of on the same one. Springer and Horn are pretty close, but Curhan and Nichols 9 laps into a run. JT Poole's 12 laps in. So definitely a mixed bag with the top 8 right now. That's basically all the drivers other than Chris Rabel who are on that alternate strategy. Although we expect that the one that Scioli and Weishart are on is really the one to be on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the one that wins the race. Unless a caution comes out, and then in which case you throw all the notebooks out the window because it's going to be reset everything. But it looks like Ricky Springer, Connor Horn, Michael Sturgill, I think they've decided to go with the strategy. They figured if they're going to have to come back in, they're going to just pit it in early, use the fresh tires up as much as possible, come in early, a little bit earlier than most people, get fresh tires to run to the end. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out for them compared to some guys who looks like they're just going to come in, get a splash and dash, and finish the race out.
Cameron Hearn, who needs a good run to get back inside.
So car started to cut off Hunter. It looks like Ricky Springer's come back in with JT Poole now coming in.
Yeah, should mention that Cameron Hearn should cycle up the field here into third place.
It'll be up to 8th.
Well, because everyone else ahead of him still has to pit.
Yeah.
So he'll cycle after everything completes up to third. And that is the kind of run that he needs, Finian, to complete his run to try to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm trying to just look quickly at the points to see the names of guys that he's beating, and a lot of these other guys either struggling or they're also not here tonight. So he's going to move up quite a few places. That is if he finishes third. So I think really a big thing for him, make sure to just bring the car home in one piece and get a solid finish in because he's looking at a decent points haul.
Yep, and the car in 20th heading into this race in driver points was Chris Rabel. So he was 31 points behind the 29 in points heading into this race. So if he holds on his own, and if Rabel holds his own now, he could slice that in half by the time this race is over with, but still got a long ways to go. We are past halfway. Connor Horn is the leader, but Michael Curran going to try and change that. He's closing in for the lead.
And here comes the 24 of Curran to the inside. And just behind, Sturgill and Nichols are about to trade positions, I think. Here comes the 24, past the 42, and in the background, there's that battle for third, the gold and black and purple and black converging for third.
Yeah, there might be a very, very small chance that 24 can make it to the end. I doubt it, but
Well, if he can make it, then Nichols could make it.
yeah.
And Nichols came in at lap 41, so. But, guys, the chance for a yellow, pretty reduced. We had some pretty spicy racing earlier, but now that the field is single filed out and on all different strategies, the chance of wrecking on your own is pretty small here. So as far as the Larry Mack trends of the race, Hunter, they're not looking positive for the drivers that need a yellow like Connor Horn.
No, they are not, but looking through here, there have been late race yellows in Season 4. I've went back and looked at it. It's funny you mentioned the Larry Mack stats. My stats, in Season 4, the average last yellow has come out with 12 to go, and we've had 4 overtime finishes this season.
Interesting. Yeah, I just wonder, with the way these cars have raced, it's pretty different than where they've raced elsewhere and where how the Gen 6 raced at this track. But we're definitely seeing a lot more separation. Think back to Atlanta, right, where you thought you might get a little bit of pack separation, but nothing. I mean, they were just packed up. Even Pocono was like that, where you just could not get away. And here tonight, I mentioned controlling your own destiny. How important is that topic as we head into Talladega next week, which is, I mean, that's the lottery of race tracks. And basically everybody loses there, right, Finian? There's one winner and 42 losers, as Lightning McQueen says. And
Yep.
no truer is that than at Talladega Superspeedway.
Basically, I mean, you're lucky if you, again, for Cameron Ahern, he's just going to have to hope for another good point stay out of Talladega, which, again, you're basically taking a number out of the lottery, so he's going to have to hope for the best. If you're going to want to get a win, you just got to kind of hope that you don't get involved in an incident earlier in the race and that you just happen to be at the right place, the right time towards the end. And we've seen in a lot of races, especially at Atlanta, where final lap, all bets are off. You could be in a wreck or you can end up the winner. It's either or.
Or both.
Or both, yes.
We've seen that happen.
As we're running on board with Cedric Hunter, he is good to go for fuel. He pitted 5 laps ago, so judging by the math, if we go another 30 laps and possibly get a green-white checkered, he will be good to go. Delonte Ballard, not so much. Pitted 15 laps ago. He might have to come down and pit. Might be 5 laps short or 4. But nonetheless, this battle is for 11th on the track, and wanted to note the gap between Scioli and Weishart, it's closed. It was 1.7 seconds when the two finished their pit stops. It's now down to less than a second between the 7 and 33.
Remember, Weishart sat on pole, so he's not slow. He put himself up there. It was just race conditions and the way that the race played out that he lost the lead and wasn't able to maintain it. But I think, Hunter, it was you that put the money on the 33 winning this race tonight.
You got to show out if it's your home track. Like, if I was racing at Pocono, I'd do the best I could. That's my home track. I want to do the best I can in front of my home crowd, and I'm pretty sure Weishart feels the same way. He qualified on pole, has a fast car. He could win this race, but we still have less than 30 to go, and anything can happen. Oh, Beckner, like I said, anything can happen. He just got a big wiggle coming out, too.
Down the back straightaway, working lap 57 of 85, about 25 minutes of racing to go, and that's a long way. A lot of time for strategies to play out, a lot of time for mistakes to be made, but this is a lot of time to think about the decisions that you wish you should have made, right, Finian? Mm-hmm. Like Curhan and Horn and Michael Sturgill, maybe wishing that they had done something different. And for Jake Nichols especially, had control of this race because of staying out. But,
I hear him clutching.
Oh, well, I mean, that seems like a pretty futile effort, to be honest. I like the optimism.
Trying to save as much as he can.
If anyone can do it, he can do it, but that's an optimistic strategy, I think.
It's an interesting strategy nonetheless. It might be a little more effective than what Curran is doing because they both pitted 17 laps ago, but Curran is leading, and he's continuing to stretch his lead of 4 seconds to Connor Horn. You can just hear him coasting through the corner. And right about midway through, gets back on the throttle, but then you're going to hear him hit the clutch again.
Not for too long, but he did it for a long time going into 3, and so that's probably saving what I'd consider to be a significant amount of fuel, but the laps are just so long here, Finian. And if you run out of fuel or you sputter, it's 2.5 miles to get back.
It's a long way. It's a very long lap and a long way to make it back. You're going to have to really hope you're running out of fuel towards turn 3, not entering turn 1, because you're basically not going to make it back at that point. As you look And behind the 73, there is James Scioli coming to take 4th place away from him.
And right behind him as well, the 33 of Weishart closing in. Very interesting battle here for the 4th spot. The 7 looks low. Got a couple of cars in front of him, one of that being Michael Sturgill. So Scioli moves into 4th, Nichols back to 5th, and Weishart closing in 6th.
Yeah, and I don't think Nichols is going to put up much of a fight to Weishart because he's on this very different strategy. But trying to make it to the end, I mean, that, I don't know. Pit road is very slow and takes a very long time. So if you can justify being that slow on the racetrack, I don't hate it. I just think that's so many laps. You got to save almost 10 miles worth of fuel. That's just so much to make.
It is a very big ask, and I'm not sure if he's been saving this whole run, too. If I was him, I would have started saving as soon as he came out of pit lane. I don't think he has. I think he's only started saving recently. So,
and the other thing with saving is that you save a lot more under yellow when you're running at 2,000, 3,000 RPM. When you're clutching, you're down at, idle at 2,000 RPM for a moment, but then you're right back to 8,000. So it's not the same as a pace lap.
No.
A pace lap, you're saving a lot more than you are even when you're saving the most aggressively you can at race pace.
And Connor Horn coming in pit lane this time by. Gonna surrender 2nd place.
That will turn things back over to Scioli once Curhan pits. And he can only go another 10 laps or so, but he might hold out and just hope for a yellow, because that's probably all he's got left.
That is honestly the best strategy that the 24 can do. I mean, it's not entirely out the window. Anything can happen. And then once that yellow comes out, everyone's going to want to come back in and take 4 fresh tires, unless stay out if you're Scioli and Weishart and you don't worry too much about tire wear and you're good to go on fuel.
Yeah, and
A little further back here, Jordan Martin, Seth Knoll battling for a spot.
I also just want to point out, actually, Curran, he's shifting, so he's definitely not saving. He's going full beans.
Just trying to cling to it while he can and prolong his advantage just in case we were to get a yellow. But like we said, the amount of scrappiness, and because of the different strategies, you're not going to be battling with every driver on the racetrack. You're only battling with those that are in your strategy. So that makes crashes even less likely. But I suppose you could still end up with a single car issue like we had with Ben Pierce. But all but 2 of the drivers that started this race are still running. Ben Pierce is out, Culberson is out, everyone else is still on the racetrack, and 25 of the 30 are on the lead lap.
I think Beckner, did he pit?
Yes, he is just coming.
Where did Beckner go? Okay.
Right here.
Getting service for what should be the final time tonight.
And Weishart has tracked down Scioli within 0.3. So this is going to be a battle, and they still have to pit one more time. But how much does Weishart race Scioli? Scioli's got 3 wins, most of anybody this season. But Weishart wants to win. So is that going to maybe provoke these 2 to race a bit harder than we normally expect?
I mean, yeah, they really got nothing to lose in the grand scheme of things, right? If Scioli wrecks, he's got 3 wins to his name, and a decent points haul, so he's good. Weishart's not even racing for points, so, I mean, they're probably just going to go at it. There's really no reason not to. No, it doesn't matter if they have a good points day.
Well, coming to 22 to go, Curran is, as 2nd and 3rd continue to duke it out, but this could be the Simrat Market battle for the win. Race fans, be sure to visit simratmarket.com for custom My Racing paint scheme templates that are simple to use, help you stay more focused on the racetrack like these guys. We've only had 1 caution, Kyle, and it's been nothing but strategy since then.
We had some great racing on that 2nd run, and I'm a little bit disappointed we haven't gotten to re-rack him and do that again. It's been pretty fun to watch, but I also don't know how much I want a late race yellow to turn on the chaos meter, but it's been a pretty natural play of a race so far, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. But these 2 are going to get to go at it. And Scioli out front, piloting the Roasted Gems coffee machine. Not running the rickshotsauce.com car tonight, but be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings.
Well, mentioned there's a change for sixth place. Greg Mitchell got past Cameron Hearn after he let him on by, and looking at another exchange of just Rafe Slate. Oh, sorry, not Rafe Slate. That is Brandon Six making a move on Delonte Ballard.
Yep, gets that pass complete, and I think we're going to have a battle for the top spot here coming, Hunter. Here comes David Weishart to the back of James Scioli.
Trying to apply pressure like Scioli did to Weishart when they were nearing the end of their fuel run. So looking out the bumper of the 7, but you're looking in car on the bottom right to David Weishart. He is as focused as can be. No smoke signals, though, so far as Curran continues to lead, but he has to make another pit stop. When will that happen? Only time will tell, but when he does pit, this will become the battle for the win.
Yeah, I can see Weishart trying to gas up in the corner early, but he's having to let off to make sure he makes it and doesn't hit the wall.
I have a question for you, Finian.
What?
Is there a time limit that was set incorrectly on this session?
Why is that?
Because my ticker has just gone into race complete mode, even though it's not.
Oh, that's weird. They still had an hour.
Well, let me give the timing and scoring a reboot here and see if that solves that. That's a very strange. I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird bug. They have more than enough time to. They can run the entire rest of the race out in caution, and they should be good enough. Not that I want that.
Yeah, just recorded everybody as checkered, which is strange.
Timing and scoring doesn't want to work overtime.
Well, let's. I might have to reboot the whole. Yeah, I have to reboot the whole system. So bear with me, folks, while we give this a reboot. But we'll follow leader Michael Curhan. Let's follow these two because it's going to get spicy while I give all the timing graphics a restart. So the front two continue to do battle here down the straightaway. And you see that line of cars in the background up top too. That could get fun to watch.
Yeah, keeping an eye on them, trying to see what's going on with them. And actually, mostly cars that are lapped down. It's Greg Mitchell working past Michael Sturgill, who is in Sturgill and Nichols are just in tire saving and fuel saving mode, so it shouldn't be much of an issue. Cameron Hearn also trying to work past them as well, as we continue to look at James Scioli and David Weishart. Weishart, he's kind of hit a wall, it seems, at 3/10 of a second in behind. Hasn't been able to make more progress.
Oh, well, had it going, but had to reboot again, so give me another second. Just crashed on startup.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a weird race condition or something that triggered it in the background. Let me just get my cameras back open here for the moment. At least change the view. But there's Sturgill hitting pit lane in the background. And Curhan will have to come in the next few laps. And that will turn the lead back over to Scioli and Weishart.
I'm curious what mode that the 24 is in. If he's in, just run it till it's dry, or if he's going to try to maybe just, come in a little bit early, maybe get 2 tires and get back out there. Because he's another driver that's, he's sitting pretty points-wise. He's 62 points from the cutoff line. So you can afford to be a little bit riskier with strategy.
There we are.
All right, we're back.
We're back. I lost my bookmarks, which is a bummer, but sometimes it be that way. We'll continue. We'll get web timing back up for Hunter as well. So as we continue here, we are working our way towards completion of this 85-lap race. About 15 minutes until this race will come to a close if we stay green to the end, and that is the big question that Curhan wants answered, because he would love a yellow in the closing moments of this one, or right about now, actually. That would give him the best opportunity, as he would come down pit lane with everybody else. But Rafe Slate, Jordan Martin, and Brandon Six, this is a 3-horse race for 9th place that could get spicy before it doesn't.
Yeah, Brandon Six sitting the best as far as tires are concerned. He's got 6-7 laps fresher tires than Rafe Slate. Jordan Martin just 1 lap older tires than Brandon Six. So both of them trying to see if they can muscle past the 8 of Rafe Slate, and he's going to do everything he can, try to hold them off. That being said, there's 17 laps to go, so it's a lot of laps to try to hold these two off.
Good bit as the 66 of Brandon Six rides 11th. Right behind the 11th and Jordan Martin, and then right in front of him, Rafe Slate. So we got a good trio battling for 2 of the final top 10 positions. Martin's going to look low on Slate for that 9th spot heading into turn 1.
As a side effect of my graphics having to get rebooted, I do not have stint lengths anymore, Finian, so you'll have to keep me updated on those as Jordan Martin and Brave Slate trade spots almost. Brandon 6 drops behind and tucks underneath Brave Slate to go back at the number 8 here.
And here comes Brandon 6, gonna try to get a decent run off the corner. Slate's got the slipstream up from Jordan Martin up ahead, so he might have a little bit of advantage here. He is starting to pull away and has to back off. And 6 is gonna charge deep into the corner. And here comes Michael Curran down the pit lane.
Well, that's going to do it for him. So now it turns into the 7 of Scioli as the race leader, and 6 car lengths behind him make it 7. 33 of David Weishart. And Jake Nichols, no, not Nichols, excuse me, that was Curran pitting.
Yep. Greg Mitchell runs 3rd, Cameron Hearn in 4th, and this is a pretty critical place for him to be running at this stage of the race, Finney. And just a top 5, a nice solid top 5 would be a really welcome run.
Sorry about that. I was just going to say that for Cameron Hearn, this is a great night going. Has to make sure he doesn't make another mistake, and he's absolutely begging for a caution not to come out now because he doesn't want any chaos to end this thing up and put him further back down the order.
JT Poole continuing to climb. The 8 of Slate starting to fall back as he's now back to 11th. Poole up to 10th. Going to look for 9th from Brandon 6 in the 66 in just a moment, but with the 66 of 6 around that outside line, it's not going to be long, and Poole's already making a move for 9th.
Making a move around JT Poole.
He just switched. He switched his face cam. Now he's got a trophy in the background. Did he already win?
I'm convinced that it's like on a gimbal and he has to readjust it.
He probably did it on pit road.
Well, we saw it, I can't remember what round it was, but he was struggling with the placement of it a couple rounds ago. But he's got it well, you see him fighting the car now. He's cooking, but not without a little bit of effort behind the wheel. Oh, I heard contact. I did not see it, though.
I could try to see if I can find who hit the wall.
I heard some scrapage.
Oh, it was Cameron Hearn that shaped the wall in turn 3. Just a little bit of a kiss, nothing too egregious.
On board with them. Simrat Market replay. Here's what happened. Probably on corner exit here. Just commits a little bit too early to throttle. Oh, that was a pretty good hit, but shouldn't affect him too much.
And Skylar Shackelford also took a bigger hit in behind him. So I think that might have been also the contact he heard. And Shackelford actually come down to pit lane.
Gap's starting to open up now. 8 car lengths separating Scioli and Weishart, and we're going to touch up on the 4 of Hearn running in 4th. Him and Chris Rabel, 2 cars to keep an eye on. Rabel back in 26th, then Hearn entered 31 points behind the 20th spot because he's outside top 20 in points. So as long as he comes home with a top 5 and makes through Talladega, he should be locked in for the postseason. But as soon as I say that, he's coming down pit road.
Yeah, that is unexpected, isn't it? I thought he would have been good to the end.
Yeah, I thought they would have been good too. I guess they're not. That's kind of surprising. I thought they would have been.
No, mathematically he should have been fine.
Might have been the damage.
Yeah, maybe, but that's not good.
Yeah,
and we'll put him in a real big pickle for Talladega.
I'm really surprised because that car doesn't even look like it's damaged a whole lot.
Well, we talked earlier about how the next gen won't show its broken ribs underneath. You can punch that thing in the face over and over, and it nose will be broken and eyes all black, but it won't show it.
Yeah, look more like a poke to the ribs than a punch.
Oh, JT Poole's out of control. He's in the wall, and everybody scatters. Jordan Martin bails.
Oh, boy.
Wow, that was spicy.
Well, maybe the 26 is going to come down pit road. That was a good lick on the outside wall, too. No safer barrier there. Take a look at the Simrat Market replay of this battle.
Yeah, just comes off of turn 2 and just loose, and then he corrects it once, twice, thrice, and gets it back straight, but not after using the concrete to help it.
He will stay out and continue. Jordan Martin going to build up another run in behind him. Poole going to go a little bit defensive, and Martin's going to stay in behind for now.
All of a sudden, we got a battle on our hands, and that is the 29 of Rabel right behind those guys. So this benefits Rabel as Hearn falls outside the top 10. He He's joined back on track 22nd, but with Rabel being 26, it's going to be make it or break it for the four of Hearn at Talladega next week.
Yeah, it's not a track that you want to have to do much of anything other than finish, right? It's just not a place where you should have a bucket list of things that you need to accomplish, because someone's going to smash your bucket lap 1 probably. Goes Rabel on by the 26 and the 11.
Michael Curran making some moves up to the Aura as he's back out on track.
Oh, Cedric Hunter getting by Jake Nichols.
He is a lap. No, that's fourth.
That's
for
for
fourth.
position, yeah.
And Nichols is really coasting a lot now. The laps have slowed down quite a bit to him. He's running 56-second laps with the leaders running in the low 54s.
Yeah, and I still don't know if he's going to make it. That's just how improbable I see this. If he makes this, that'll be amazing, but he's already about to drop out of the top 5. He's going to get passed by Seth Knoll and probably JT Poole. And the next, 10 laps is a lot of time. Nearly 10 minutes of racing. And with 9 laps remaining, James Scioli leads. He has the most wins on the season, but as far as total points, way down beneath Jake Nichols. But that won't matter when we reset everything after Talladega.
No, it's not going to matter at all for these guys. Really, that's when I think the season's really going to begin for these guys up near the top, because that's when the points are going to matter a lot, and the wins are going to matter even more. So between Scioli and Nichols, it's going to be a fantastic fight to watch. And unfortunately for Weiser, it's unfortunate to see that he's not quite able to get back up there to the 7. He got so close, but didn't quite have enough of an advantage to make a move.
He does have help, though. He's got Delonte Ballard giving him some momentum down the straightaways. That last lap he ran 54.5, and Scioli ran a 54.6. We'll see what it is this time by, but 33 definitely has some help. As they come across the stripe, they're going to take 8 laps to go from the Brickyard.
Yeah, that time was a tenth slower. I don't think that'll do him a lot of good. Poole and Martin are going back at it. These two are spooking me. This could be our late race yellow if one of these drivers makes a mistake. Lots of space being given, but we've seen how sideways that 26 has gotten. Curran.
All go wrong in an instant, as you mentioned. Curran in the background, side by side with Ricky Springer.
Oh, and Poole's not giving up that spot. He's sticking it to that high line. I don't know if it's going to work here through 2.
Oh, just don't bobble, because that will be a big mess, but they're going to continue to run side by side. We have seen some phenomenal racing. That second run was unbelievable. Since then, it's kind of spread out a little bit and became a strategy race, but that is not a bad thing. Gives drivers and teams the opportunity to shine. Jake Nichols and Seth Knoll. Knoll up to 5th, Nichols back to 6th, and then this is the group that would catch the next for position, JT Poole and Jordan Martin. 5 seconds to make up to catch that 73. And Nichols is still about a second off of the leaders, but JT Poole and Martin aren't going that much faster. Half a second a lap.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much Nichols is going to kind of try to save. Again, he doesn't exactly need points. He's not in a position where he needs it, so I think he's just trying to hang on to Seth Knoll, get a little bit of slipstream to help him, but he's kind of hanging on here to try to hold off these last 7 laps.
Gap continuing to increase between Scioli and Weishart, but Poole and Martin, that is not going away just yet, and laps are dwindling. 6 to go for the 7.
James Scioli, again, as we mentioned, he has won the most races of anybody, 3 this season. But it is far from the 91's dominant way, or I guess now the 73's dominant ways of the previous seasons. I'll tell you what, though, these two, JT Poole and Jordan Martin, they are having a great scrap amongst themselves. But nobody is safe until that white flag flies. And nobody's really safe until after next week, because Talladega, a cutoff race at a super speedway. That is the fabrication of chaos, and I am here for it. It's going to be spicy next week. Here comes Jordan Martin with a big run on JT Poole. For now, he sits in behind him.
Yeah, looking behind, Michael Curran's closing up. He just got by Brandon 6, and Curran's coming in early with fresh rubber, so He's running about 0.7 of a second a lot faster than these two. And also no race slates come in to surrender 14th place. He was one of those drivers where we thought might have been able to make it to the end, so he's come in to get fuel and finish this race out.
Ooh, that was a bit dicey off into turn one, but again, we're just 4 minutes away from safety for James Scioli and David Weishart, who have played the strategy to perfection. And think back to the decision you made on lap number 7. That's the decision that you chose to live with for the rest of this race. And that's how impactful every moment is in the Area Cup Series. This is like deciding what job you're going to be when you're in preschool. I mean, you just, how could you know how your decisions would affect you in the future? You couldn't.
Yeah, no,
That's an interesting way of putting it.
and unfortunately, we saw it was a very split decision. Pretty much half the field went one way, half went the other way. And for the half that decided to pit, it's looking like it's going to benefit them quite a bit, as all of those drivers are in the top 5. Jake Nichols just hanging on, trying to see if he can actually join them and make it on one stop. He'll be the only driver to accomplish making this race on one stop if he can finish out.
So JT,
I was going to say a better analogy would be you have to decide between steak and grilled chicken. Those that decided steak, like Scioli and Weishart, they're eating good right now. 1-2. He chose grilled chicken like Ricky Springer and came in and pitted. Well, actually, not so much with the grilled chicken. But if you're eating steak, you're doing good.
this trophy in the background from one of JT's 3 feature wins in Legends cars at Sunny South Raceway.
Oh, nice trophy.
Unfortunately, does not look like he'll add to the trophy collection tonight, but solid top 10 maybe on the books. He will have to hold off Jordan Martin, but just 3 laps remain here at Indianapolis.
Oh, they're going to catch Nichols here, so.
Yeah, this is what I was worried about. Get them all stacked up behind the 73, but both are going to go by. Jake Nichols, what's his worst finish this season, Finian?
I think 4th, something like that. Oh yeah, I was gonna say this might be his first finish. It's definitely gonna be his first finish outside the top 5. We'll see, can he hang on and keep the top 10 streak going?
Brandon 6 is close, and we don't even know if Jake Nichols can make it on fuel.
Yeah,
he's got about 5 seconds, maybe less than that now, between himself and Ed Robertson. Ed Robertson's 11th.
So 2 laps to go now. Nichols wants it over, and so does James Scioli. Down the back straightaway for the penultimate time. And the gap on Weishart has only grown 2.5 seconds now. And as far as domination, I don't think you could throw Scioli in the dominating category tonight, but when the time was right, he just set sail.
Yeah, tying everything to perfection, managed his tires also. That's a big thing too. Managed his tires extremely well in comparison to Weishart. He's kept the speed up. And now it's broken the gap out to over 2.5 seconds here as he's coming to get the white flag.
Yep, white flag waving. One final time for Scioli. He's made it 84 times. Can he make it an 85th time? Right behind him, though, actually a good bit behind, Martin and Poole going at it for the 7th spot. This battle will not die as they're coming to take the white flag themselves.
Yeah, they still have about 3 miles left. Well, 2 3/4 as they come out of turn 4 now. JT Poole will get maybe 2 more runs at Jordan Martin. This is a pretty thrilling fight. And he just flipped the double bird there. We'll keep that off screen, but at the number 11. But James Scioli in the number 7 has won 3 races so far this season. He runs 5th in the standings. His wins came at Road America, which was 2 weeks ago, at Pocono, which was 4 weeks ago, and back at Watkins Glen. So 2 road courses and a tricky triangle, but today he will add a rectangle. The Brickyard for James Scioli, win number 4 of the season. James Scioli gets it done at Indianapolis.
Oh, and another race developing in behind. Michael Curran catching Seth Knoll out of turn 4, trying to see if he can just break it inside the top 5. He's going to get a massive run off the corner. Knoll was trying to break the draft on the back straightaway. Now he's going to try to break it on the front. Here comes Curran, going to peel off to make a move, and I don't think he got there in time.
Not quite. Poole got back by
Jake
Martin,
Nichols
though.
Nichols is about to lose 10th to Connor Horn. It's going to be close.
Nichols
No, not quite.
will keep a top 10. After all that, he will break the top 5 streak, but top 10s. Oh, look at this, Beckner. This is all coming down to the wire here. Beckner and Garrett Grant side by side. Toyota versus Toyota for 18th place. And I think Grant got him by how much? 6,000 of a second.
Wow.
But for Scioli, the gap was 3.1. And as far as picking championship favorites, easy to do that in the Florida State Builders Pro Series with this same driver. But as far as the Cup Series goes, Jake Nichols is an argument, but there is something to be said about racking up wins like Scioli has. And as the summertime heat hits the United States, James Scioli is as hot as ever.
It looks like actually Jake Nichols is getting pushed by his teammates back to pit lane because he's ran out of gas.
Well, he made it work. I'll give him credit where credit's due. He saved what he needed to save. And James Scioli wins at Indianapolis. Here's a look at your race results. And let's go through your finishers here. James Scioli gets it done. David Weishart second, Greg Mitchell third, Cedric Hunter fourth, and Seth Knoll in fifth place. Notably missing from this top 5 group where he was earlier, that is Cameron Hearn, Finney, and he did not get the result that he was looking for or needed.
No, I ended up finishing down in 16th, and I'm really surprised that I ended up having to go there. I don't really think he had to come in for pit repair because he only spent 14 seconds in the box. So I guess he came in thinking that he didn't have enough gas, or he might have been just on the limit and wanted to play it safe, but that cost him a solid top 5. Rounding the rest of the top 10, though, Michael Curran, who was just shy of getting that top 5 finish after having to come back into pit lane. He made up a lot of time in about 15 laps with those fresh tires. JT Poole, Jordan Martin, Brandon Six, and Jake Nichols finished his worst finish of the season in 10th.
Oh, man.
And Connor Horn coming close to that top 10. Him and Ed Robertson swapped spots on the last lap. 11th for Horn, 12th for Robertson. Ricky Springer's strategy did not play into his favor. Finishes 13th. And then Cameron Hearn was able to work his way up to 16th. But got to pay attention to where the 29 of Rabel is in the finishing results, as Hartz, Grant, Beckner, and Cogswell round out the top 20.
And 21st on back, Douglas Zubig in quiet night in the number 71. Frankie Barroso, after getting involved in that first incident just a touch, comes home 22nd. Talante Ballard, Rafe Slate, nothing special from those drivers tonight. Nick Silver, Jeremy Miller, incident early, and then for Pierce and Culberson, crash damages taking them out of the fight tonight. So that's your finishers. Let's talk with our top 3, the first of which, or I guess the third of which, is Greg Mitchell, who brings the number 2 car home in third place. A strong, solid run, and I likened it earlier to choosing a profession in preschool. The decision you made really early on had a big effect on the outcome today, Greg. You finished third, and it was a strategy call that helped out with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a little bit of luck too. You never know how long we're going to get a green flag run, so a little risky going that far back in the field. We didn't even know how many cars were going to pit. I thought a lot more were going to pit because it put us in the window of one more stop. So it was worth the risk. Usually doesn't work out that way, but yeah, glad we took the risk on it.
Yeah, take me through the challenges tonight. This new next-gen car, I don't think anyone really knew how it was going to race, but from my experience, or from watching it tonight, it looked like a lot of fun. That second run in particular, it was very racy, but then once you settled in, it looked like the Indy of days of old. So take me through how this car handled in traffic and by itself tonight.
Yeah, it was actually really fun. Dave and I were just talking about that. You could get on the inside of a car down the straightaway and still maintain speed or pass them, even pulling out of the draft with no help. So if you just, all you needed was a little bit of side draft. So it was real racy. You just had to stick it going to the inside of the corner and hope it didn't wash up. Cold tires was really tough. It didn't want to stick at all for the first 2-3 laps. But after that, it got really fun. Then it got really loose. So you just kind of had to be really gentle with the throttle in 2 and 4, and try to get those runs down the straight.
And an important points night as well before we head into Talladega, which is a huge mess next week, potentially, for those that are near the cut line. How are you feeling heading into Talladega? And is it one of those situations where you go in doing everything you can to win, or maybe play it a bit more conservative and hope things play out?
Oh, yeah, super confident going into Talladega. No, definitely not. No, as you know, it's a wild card. So I know I'm 13th in points, probably still 13th in points. So I really have nothing to lose. And yeah, we're just gonna go all out. I mean, that's a lot of strategy and luck at Talladega, as you know. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens indeed. Greg Mitchell, 3rd place tonight, solid top 5. Greg, congrats, and we'll see you in Alabama.
Thanks, Kyle. Real quick, just want to thank the sponsors on the car. We've got NAI, DeLeo Bram, Eat Sleep Race, Magyar Bank, Fame Construction, and also would love to give a shout out to my nephews who are watching tonight down in Texas. Nick, AJ, and Ryan. Love you guys, and thanks for watching. And thank you, Kyle, and the guys up at the booth.
Appreciate it, Greg. We'll see you next week. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
2nd place tonight is David Weishart, and the pole sitter for the hometown driver, the number 33. Weishart led some laps early, but after the strategy call, just didn't come back your way for the race lead, but you did come home 2nd. So satisfied with that, or real sad about coming up one spot short?
I mean, it's bittersweet. On one hand, this is my home track. I qualified on the pole, had the best lap I've turned all week, and to come home 2nd stings a little bit, but a bigger picture for me, like I said, last season I was supposed to retire from this series. Like, I wasn't supposed to be back here because I hated this car so bad. I just had no speed in it, and it felt good to have some speed tonight. So we caught that early yellow, not while I was leading, and I knew we were on the edge of fuel mileage, and this race, these tracks tend to go green quite a bit. This one in Pocono, and yeah, I just got back up through there. First run, burned my tires off. At the end of both runs, like the last 7 or 8 laps of both runs, my right front just died on me. I couldn't keep the right front under me for the long run, and James just kind of gapped me there at the end. But glad to come home with the P2, and yeah, felt real good to have some speed at my home track.
Well, David Weishart, 2nd place tonight at Indianapolis, and we're going to see you next week at Talladega?
Oh, yeah, we'll be there.
All right, David Weishart, good luck to you. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
And your winner tonight for the 4th time this season, he is racking them up in the area Florida State Builders Pro Series and now in the Cup Series, just racking them up left and right. 4th win and 2nd in a row. Last time out at Road America, you were the winner, and this time in Indiana, you get the job done here at the Brickyard, James. It's got to feel good. You're on top of the world, top seed heading into the playoffs, and best of all, no pressure heading into Talladega next week. How does it feel to get another one done here at Indy?
Yeah, I think that's the best part. It's not having to worry about points or what other people are doing at Talladega, praying for people to wreck or anything. I can just kind of go there and try and help the team, make sure that those guys get in, try and prevent a new winner or get one of our guys to win the race and make sure they get locked in. And yeah, it's just been a crazy run. I didn't really expect to win this one at all. Didn't really get much time to do many practice laps and have never really run any races here, so didn't really know exactly how it was going to go. And on that first short run before the yellow, I saw David pulling away, and I thought there was no chance that I was going to have anything for him. It didn't look like anybody was going to have anything for him, but just able to just kind of save the rear tires a little bit better, I think. I think he started really sliding towards the end of the runs, and I was able to get him before that first pit stop and just make sure I met the fuel number and didn't make any big mistakes, and we were able to bring it home fairly easily.
So does this shift the focus at all as we head to Talladega next week? Obviously, that's for all the drivers that are not locked in to really do battle and try to snag one before the playoffs start. But does your focus shift to Chicago or another event that's on the playoff calendar, or is it just 1 week at a time from here on out?
I think probably just 1 week at a time. Like I said, I really want to make sure we can get all of our guys locked in on points into the playoffs. That way we got some pretty good representation. I think we can all have a pretty good run through the playoffs. So yeah, I think just 1 week at a time. Don't want to get too ahead of myself and start worrying about races in the future and really start making mistakes or anything. So yeah, I think just 1 week at a time and just taking it easy.
Well, maybe not worried about races in the future, but the races in the past, he's got 4 of the 11 so far this season. Scioli gets it done at Indy. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Huge shout out to you guys in the booth for everything you guys do, putting these races on. This one was pretty fun. I hope there were some good battles through the field, and I know the leaders were close for a lot of the race, so it was pretty enjoyable. Big thanks to the admin team, and then big thanks to Lucky Ducks, Roasted Gems Coffee, No Kid Hungry, RS Butt Boxes, Stream for No Kid Hungry, and Ology Brewing. And I finally got the Polish for John Peel, team owner. He's been asking for it, and I finally got it. Finally remembered this time, so.
Got it done, James. Congratulations, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and he said it, guys. Just lots of good racing tonight, and the leaders, there was always something to watch, whether it was strategy, whether it was the incredible battles we saw from lap 7 to lap 50 or so. Finian, this was a fun one, and as far as Indianapolis, it's never one that I was super looking forward to go to from a stock car perspective, but I think my mind has been changed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never thought I would really see a good race at Indianapolis anytime soon with stock cars. It's typically associated with much better with IndyCar racing, but it's safe to say that the quality has stepped up with these Gen 7 cars. We've got a really good show tonight.
Great show indeed from Indianapolis. Well, a nice refresh after being used to the Indy road course, but I think everyone's most people are about ready for Indianapolis to go back to the oval for NASCAR side of things, and tonight's racing definitely provided an entertaining race, but we got one more entertaining race next week for the Cup side of things in the regular season, and that's Talladega. And a quick note, Cameron Hearn up to 25th in points, and he's 15 points behind Ed Robertson. So Robertson actually moved up 5 spots into 20th. Rabel moved up a spot. He is now 19th in points, but 15 points separate Hearn from making it into the postseason and being on the outside looking in.
Well, that's the storylines we'll be following next week from Talladega Superspeedway. One more round in the regular season, but we're not done this week from the Indianapolis area. Tomorrow night, IRP, Lucas Oil Raceway Park for the Area Truck Series, and then back here at the Big Track on Thursday night for the Area Florida Estate Builders Pro Series. That is what's on the docket for this week. Can't wait to bring you some more action from the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:45 Eastern for the Truck Series from IRP. Thanks so much. Kyle Heyer, Finney DeCuna, and Hunter Sleppy with you. We'll see you next time.